Hi everyone! Today I'm here with my O.W.L readathon wrap up and also April wrap up. I was really ambitious for the month of April. I wanted to read 12 books for 12 different exams of the O.W.L readathon. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I will leave the link to the announcement video down below by Book Roast and to my TBR for this readathon as well. But it was taking place from the 2nd of April to the 29th of April. I read 5 books, which means that I passed 5 exams, which I can't remember the grades at the moment, but I think it's some kind of satisfactory or something, or exceeded expectations, or was that 6? I can't remember, to be honest. I did pretty well. I thought it would be worse than that, to be honest. But anyway, I'm just going to tell you now what books I read for what challenges, for what exams rather. And then I'm going to go through the books in the order that I've read them and talk to you more about what I thought about them. So the very first exam I passed was potions, and for that I had to read a book containing alchemy. And for that, the book of my choice was The Tales of Biddle the Bard by J.K. Rowling. I wasn't sure if it contained alchemy in the slightest way. I don't think it did, but anyway, kind of close anyway, so I'm counting it, and especially considering I didn't really know and I read it for that challenge, I still counted, so it counts. The second exam that I passed was The Care of Magical Creatures, and for that I had to read a book with a magical creature on the cover or just featuring a magical creature. And for that I read Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by J.K. Rowling in this glorious edition. So yeah, the third exam that I passed was herbology, and for that we had to read a book that it had a nature word in a title. So that I was reading Playing with Fire by Tess Gerritsen. It is a thriller book. The next exam I passed was Charms, and for that we had to read a fantasy book, and that was Dragon Rider for me by Cornelia Funke. And the very last exam that I passed was Arithmecy, and for that we had to read a book with a number in the title, and that was Secret Breakers, The Power of 3 by O.W.L. Dennis. The book that I went halfway through was for the astronomy exam, which was to read a sci-fi book, and that was Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I only managed to read like half of the book, so I didn't actually pass it, but oh well. So now let's get into my April wrap up and the books that I read in the order that I read them. The first book that I read in April was The Tales of Biddle the Bard by J.K. Rowling. That was a reread for me and I really enjoyed it. I really like these fairy tales. They are really interesting, and definitely I prefer these ones than the normal fairy tales because they're so much more fascinating, so much more interesting. I believe there are only 5 of them in the books existing. I wish there were a lot more, but still, I gave this book 4 stars because this book was really good. And also what I liked, as usual, is the illustrations. Of course, the illustrations throughout the whole book. The second book that I read was Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by J.K. Rowling. I don't know why I said it so strangely, but I read it in this gorgeous, beautiful edition with illustrations again. Yes, I know I haven't taken off the sticker, but as you can see I tried but failed. But anyway, this is really interesting again. I gave this book 4 stars. It was really interesting to be in the world of Harry Potter again, to learn more about all of the different creatures and the kinds of creatures and everything, and obviously very nice and beautiful illustrations. I'm pretty sure I've read both of those in one sitting, or this one might have taken me 2 days to read. The third book that I finished was The School for Good and Evil by Soman Chainani. I believe I started it in March, and this was my buddy read with Christina from Orography. I really enjoyed buddy reading with her, even though we didn't really get the chance to talk to each other a lot and to discuss the book, unfortunately, because she was really busy and we started at different times and finished at different times. But still, I really enjoyed it, and hopefully in the future we will read a book again. So this book is the first book from the trilogy. I did a full review on it, so if you're interested, the link will be in the description below. You can check it out. But what I can say is that I enjoyed this book. It was definitely interesting. The first half wasn't as gripping, at least it wasn't gripping me as much, but the second half I was so gripped into it that I was reading for 3 hours constantly without stopping because I really wanted to find out what was going to happen. I really like the main characters. I had mixed feelings about one of them at the beginning of the book, and then towards the middle my feelings changed because she changed. And there's so much happens in this book. If you want to hear more of my thoughts, the link will be in the description. The next book that I read was Playing with Fire by Tess Gerritsen. This was one of my blind date with a book from Waterstones that I bought a year ago or so. It was supposed to do something with music, and then when I opened it I thought there was a mistake because this just looks like a typical thriller cover, so I wasn't really drawn to it. But oh my god, when I read it, I really enjoyed it. I was not happy with myself that I didn't read it before. I really enjoyed this book, and I'm planning to make a full review on it. I gave this book 4.5 stars because it was really good. There are 2 storylines, one set in the past during the period of World War II that I seem to really like for some reason, and it is somehow in one way or another connected to this present situation. I'll just read you the back of the book. What if your child wanted you dead? Julie is terrified by her daughter's aggressive behaviour. She's 3, by the way. Lily has changed from an angelic little girl into someone she's afraid to be alone with. What scares Julie most, though, is that she knows why Lily is acting this way, but no one will believe her. If she is going to help Lily, she will have to find the answers alone, embarking on a search that will take her to the shadowy back streets of Venice. There Julia finds far more than just answers and uncovers a heartbreaking, long-buried tale of tragedy and devastation. And this discovery has put her in serious danger. This was so interesting to read. It was definitely related with music in a very strong way, if I can even say it like that. I even cried, I think, in this book. I think one question is bothering me and I don't know the answer to it, but at the same time it was a really good book, and definitely so much more interesting than I thought it would be. So it was a really nice surprise for me. The next book that I finished was Dragon Rider by Cornelia Funke. This is a fantasy book about this boy and the dragon who are trying to find a place where all of the dragons live. Basically, that's the plot of the book. The cool thing about it is that it had illustrations drawn by the author herself. I think it just adds so much more to the story when authors just draw pictures themselves. They kind of how they imagine their characters to look like, how they imagine some scenes to look like. To be honest though, from time to time when I was reading it, I would be bored and I would need a break from it to read something different. But in general, it was a very nice and kind children's story. I think it's a middle grade novel. And I think from time to time I was a bit too childish, so I wasn't quite enjoying it as much as I thought I would. It is still really cute and interesting, and a lot of things happened. It's very kind and very cozy to read. I was more inclined to rate it 3 stars, but at the end I decided to give it 4 stars because I was really satisfied with the ending. I don't want to continue on with the series because I think the first one could be read as a standalone. So if you want a nice fantasy middle grade book, try reading this one. It has dragons in it, it has a lot of adventures and all the different creatures. It felt like a bit too long. It's about 500 pages long book. No, it's 423 pages. But from time to time it felt a bit too dragged, but it wasn't too bad, so I really enjoyed it anyway. The next book that I read was Secret Breakers, The Power of Three by H.L. Dennis. This book is basically about this very mysterious and very old manuscript that no one can tell what it is about because no one can solve the code, and there are these 3 children who are trying to do it, and someone is trying to stop them from doing that. This is the first book from the series consisting of 6 books, and it's also set in the Bletchley Park that is in Milton Keynes in England. I can't remember the county at the moment, but I've been there and I really enjoyed it, so it was quite interesting to be in the place that was set here. But for some reason it wasn't really gripping me enough. I felt like it was a little bit boring at times, so I gave this book 3 stars. It wasn't as interesting as I thought it would be, and I don't really want to continue on with this series. I like the point when they were solving the clues for stuff, because this is set also in a school that they open in Bletchley Park. I don't think that's actually true, but in the book they open the school for those children who want to solve mysteries and everything. And they obviously live there, and their teachers give them different tasks to solve and everything. So it was quite interesting to see how they were following the clues and how they were solving it. But it wasn't enough for me, and I wasn't interested enough in it, so only 3 stars. And the very last book that I read was actually an audiobook. That was my first audiobook on Audible, and the book of my choice was Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This book is about this girl who is born to be a cursed child, which means she's blamed for absolutely everything, and then she was supposed to die on her 11th birthday, but then a mysterious man comes and saves her and brings her to the Wondrous Society, which is a very prestigious organization. And now for her, in order to join it, she needs to go through 4 trials and to compete with all of the different children. So this book was rather unusual. I think the narrator, to be honest, kind of spoiled the enjoyment for me of this book. I don't know if I would enjoy it more if I actually read it physically, in a physical form, because the narrator, the way she narrated some of the voices was really, really weird, and I didn't really like that. But in general, I enjoyed this book, not as much as I thought I would, so I gave it 3 stars. I don't think I will be continuing with the series. I know it's really popular and it has a very high rating on Goodreads, but I just wasn't a huge fan. But like I said, I enjoyed it. I still sometimes think about this book because it was quite interesting in a way. I really liked the main character. I liked some twists. There was a twist at the end that I found really promising, that it could be really interesting in the next books, but I'm not sure if I will be reading them. The narrator was Gemma Whelan. I'm hoping I'm saying the name right. I didn't really like how she named some of the voices, so I'm not sure if my enjoyment was not as high because of the narration or because it wasn't just really a book for me. It was good enough, but I had fun reading it, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't anything special to me. So in general, I read 7 books in the month of April. I'm quite happy with that because for the past 3 months it's been only 3 weeks, 3 books a month. So I'm really happy that I managed to read 7. And also, like I mentioned before, I went halfway through Gemini as well. So that's how far I am into this book. If you read any of the books that I just mentioned, please leave your thoughts in the comments. I would like to know what you thought about them. Or if you're planning to read them, let me know as well. I'm always interested to know what people are doing and what they think of the books. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Bye!